What do hotel key cards and dish soap have in common? Both have been used as makeshift tools during the construction of Boeing airplanes.
Spirit Aerosystems mechanics used a hotel key card to check a door seal. The FAA saw Spirit mechanics apply liquid Dawn dish soap to a door seal as lubricant in the fit-up process.
The same planes infamous for incidents like exploding doors mid-flight, Boeing planes have been involved in crashes at an alarming rate. Employees are leaving over safety concerns, and a whistleblower was recently found dead from a gunshot wound. Meanwhile, Boeing's stock price has taken a nosedive. These events are not random misfortune. They were preventable. So why weren't they? Boeing wasn't always in a precarious position. The company had a strong beginning when it was founded in 1916 by William E. Boeing. During both World Wars, the US government funneled money into Boeing for the production of military aircraft. Boeing expanded into commercial aviation in 1927, ultimately becoming the world's largest commercial airplane manufacturer. Engineers, not executives, drove the company's decisions, and their commitment to safety and quality earned Boeing a stellar reputation. The introduction of the Boeing 707 in 1958 revolutionized air travel. Fast forward several decades, Boeing merged with McDonnell Douglas in 1997, and that merger marked a turning point for the worse. McDonnell Douglas had a more profit-driven culture, which began to overshadow Boeing's engineered-first mindset. Around 2010, Airbus, Boeing's top competitor, announced a fuel-efficient update to their A320 model, making Boeing nervous about losing its market dominance. In response, Boeing rushed out its own updated model, the 737 MAX. Here's where the real problems began. To accommodate larger engines, the 737 MAX required design changes that made the plane prone to nosing upward during flight. Rather than redesign the plane entirely, Boeing slapped on a software-based band-aid called MCAS, which would automatically push the plane's nose down. Pilots received minimal training on iPads and no real flight simulation, and some were not even informed of this critical software. The result? 2 deadly crashes. Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, which together killed 346 people. Despite these tragedies, Boeing survived. Since 2000, the company's planes have crashed over 100 times, yet Boeing still remains in business. Why? Let's take a look at the financial side. A significant portion of Boeing's revenue, almost half, comes from the US government, which effectively turns Boeing into a state-sponsored company. In 2021, Boeing received more money from government contracts than it earned from selling commercial planes. The company has faced enormous pressure to cut costs and stay competitive, but this has led to dangerous compromises in quality. Boeing began outsourcing much of its parts manufacturing and even allowed other companies to design those parts. In cases where outsourcing wasn't feasible, like main body of the plane, Boeing spun off that part of the business and operated independently, forming Spirit Aerospace. The safety standards at these outsourced facilities deteriorated. In one instance, an inspector reported that workers were using hotel key cards to check their door seals and dish soap to lubricate them in assembly.
You know, have you seen the reports that the subcontractor that you use to make that door piece that fell out of the sky, that when the FAA went and toured the facility, they found one door seal being lubricated with Dawn liquid dish soap and cleaned with a wet cheesecloth, and another was being checked with a hotel room key card. Does that sound like safety to you?
Edward Pearson, a Boeing whistleblower, warned his supervisors in 2018 about safety procedures being ignored to meet during production headlines. His concerns about rushed and substandard work were brushed aside.
I formally warned Boeing leadership in writing on multiple occasions, specifically once before the Lion Air crash and again before the Ethiopian Airlines crash, about potential airplane risk due to the unstable operating environment within the factory. Those warnings were ignored.
He was so worried that he said, "For the first time in my life, I'm hesitant to put my family on a Boeing airplane." As production sped up, Boeing started using parts from scrap bins when new parts weren't available. Surprisingly, this led to catastrophic failures like wheels falling off, planes catching fire, and even doors blowing open mid-flight. Incredibly, despite these tragedies, the FAA cleared the 737 MAX to fly again just a year after crashes. Not long ago, a 737 MAX departing from Oregon experienced rapid cabin depressurization, when a door fell off, causing passengers' clothes to be ripped from their bodies. If the plane had been flying at a higher altitude, the outcome could have been fatal. Yet Boeing continues to operate without facing the consequences you'd expect. Boeing has become too big to fail, with a significant chunk of the Department of Defense's budget tied to Boeing. The government has a vested interest in keeping the company afloat. In any other industry, a company with Boeing's track record would go bankrupt. But government contracts allow Boeing to survive, even when it cuts corners on safety. In industries like aviation, where lives are on the line, this kind of negligence should never be tolerated. Meanwhile, countries like China and Russia are seizing the opportunity to build their own state-owned airplane manufacturers, such as Comac. Boeing, on the other hand, benefits from economies of scale, producing planes cheaply in large numbers, while regulators look the other way. This creates an industry monopoly that grows at the expense of safety, innovation, and accountability. So the question is, should companies like Boeing, propped up by government contracts, continue to operate without facing real consequences for their failures? Or should we allow these companies to fail before their negligence costs more lives? Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.